A billionaire paid $400,000 for her daughter's braces, then a poor mechanic built something better. The billionaire had just spent $400,000 on her daughter's braces when a poor mechanic walked into her life carrying a battered metal case that looked like it belonged in a junkyard. Everyone in the room laughed when he claimed he had built something better. But when the little girl opened her mouth and smiled for the first time in years, the billionaire mother realized that money had never been the thing her daughter needed most. Emma Whitmore had everything money could buy. At 38, she was the founder of one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the country, lived in a glass-walled mansion overlooking the ocean, and could purchase almost anything without checking the price. But there was one thing money had never been able to give her: the carefree smile of her 12-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily had been born with a severe dental condition that made eating painful and speaking difficult. Years of treatments had failed, and her teeth had become increasingly misaligned. She avoided photographs, covered her mouth when she laughed, and stopped eating in front of other children because she was terrified they would stare. After another painful appointment, Emma refused to let her daughter suffer any longer. She hired the most prestigious dental team in the country and approved a treatment plan costing nearly $400,000. The clinic promised advanced custom braces, digital scanning, robotic adjustments, and a specialized treatment program designed specifically for Lily. Emma believed she had finally solved the problem. But Lily only looked at her mother and quietly asked whether the expensive braces would make people stop staring at her. That question broke something inside Emma. She realized that her daughter wasn't simply fighting a dental problem. She was fighting the feeling that something about her made her less worthy than everyone else. Across town, in a tiny garage squeezed between an old tire shop and a closed warehouse, lived a 47-year-old mechanic named Daniel Carter. Daniel had never owned a luxury car, never worn an expensive watch, and had never had more than a few $100s in his bank account. His garage smelled of engine oil, metal, and old rubber. Customers sometimes complained that his tools looked ancient, but Daniel had a gift that money couldn't buy. He could look at a broken machine and understand what it needed before anyone else did. He had spent 30 years repairing engines, machinery, bicycles, wheelchairs, and anything else people brought through his door. Daniel had a daughter once. Her name was Sophie. She had been born with a medical condition that required years of treatment, and Daniel had worked 2 jobs to afford it. He had spent countless nights repairing cars until sunrise, then sitting beside Sophie during hospital appointments. She eventually passed away at the age of 11. Daniel never recovered completely from losing her, but he carried one lesson from those years with him: when someone is hurting, the first thing they need is not pity. They need someone willing to stay. One rainy afternoon, Lily's new braces malfunctioned during a charity event outside Emma's company headquarters. A sharp metal component cut the inside of her cheek, causing her to panic. Emma immediately took her to the nearest clinic, but the roads were flooded and traffic barely moved. Their driver pulled into a small neighborhood while searching for another route, and that's where Lily noticed Daniel's garage. She pointed toward it because the pain had become unbearable. Daniel examined the damaged component carefully. He didn't pretend to be a dentist, and he didn't try to replace the medical device himself. Instead, he noticed something unusual about the custom support mechanism the dental team had designed. Its shape reminded him of a tiny mechanical hinge, and he explained that he had worked with similar precision materials in industrial equipment. He couldn't treat Lily, but he could help the dental team understand why the component was repeatedly failing. He spent the next several hours studying the design, drawing sketches, and identifying stress points that could cause discomfort. Emma was skeptical. To her, Daniel was simply a mechanic. She had paid specialists hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yet this man in an oil-stained shirt had found a design weakness within hours. But when Daniel showed her his notes, she saw something she hadn't seen in months: a possible solution. If you believe kindness and second chances can change someone's life, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Soultales. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the people we overlook are carrying the very gift someone else desperately needs. Emma contacted Lily's dental team, and Daniel offered to explain his observations. The doctors were initially offended, but after reviewing his mechanical analysis, they realized he had identified a genuine engineering issue. The problem wasn't the treatment itself. It was the way certain components distributed pressure during movement. The team began working with an engineer to redesign the support system. Daniel could have demanded money. He could have used Emma's name to promote his garage. Instead, he asked for nothing. His only request was that Lily never feel ashamed of her smile again. Over the following months, Daniel worked alongside engineers and dental specialists, contributing ideas based on mechanical principles. The result was not a replacement for professional orthodontic care but a new precision support concept that made the treatment more comfortable and easier to adjust. Lily's doctors incorporated the ideas into a medically approved design, and her treatment began progressing more smoothly than anyone expected. Then came the moment that changed everything. 6 months later, Lily walked into Daniel's garage carrying a small photograph. She had finished another stage of her treatment, and her smile was beginning to transform. She handed Daniel the photograph. On the back, she had written that he was the first person who made her believe her smile wasn't something she needed to hide. Daniel stared at the photograph for a long time. He remembered Sophie. He remembered hospital corridors, unpaid bills, sleepless nights, and the little girl who used to smile even when she was afraid. For years, Daniel had believed that losing Sophie meant the best part of his life was already behind him. But Lily had shown him something different. Sometimes the love we lose doesn't disappear. Sometimes it becomes the reason we know how to love someone else. Emma eventually offered Daniel a position in her company's innovation division, but he refused the enormous salary at first. He didn't want to leave the garage where ordinary people came to him with ordinary problems. Instead, Emma helped him expand the workshop into a community repair and innovation center where struggling families could bring broken wheelchairs, bicycles, mobility equipment, and other essential items they couldn't afford to replace. The $400,000 braces had helped Lily's teeth, but Daniel had helped restore something far more valuable, her confidence. And Emma finally understood the difference between buying a solution and giving someone hope. 1 year later, Lily stood on a small stage at the opening of the new community center. Her smile was no longer hidden behind her hand. She looked into the crowd, found Daniel standing near the back, and smiled directly at him. Emma stood beside her, crying quietly. The billionaire who could buy almost anything had learned that the most valuable things in life often arrive without a price tag. Before we end this story, if it touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to Soultales. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more people who may need a little hope today. And before you leave, comment, kindness has no price, if you believe that a person's value is never determined by their wealth, appearance, or social status. Because sometimes, the person everyone sees as poor is carrying something far richer than money, the ability to make someone else believe in themselves again.